What is cracking, people? Happy Friday. Friday Night Lives. Let's go. Figured I'd hop on for a little bit, answer any questions. Really nothing structured tonight. It's a Friday. We're headed into the weekend. And guess what? Guess what? We got football next week, guys. Next week, we got football, guys. We're almost through. We almost made it. What's up, everybody? Detail, Goldfinger, we see you. What's up, Davis? We see you on YouTube. Can't wait, man. Georgia, let's go. Holding it down in Georgia, we see you. All right, we got our first question already. And I think it's relevant. So Aaron from Twitter says D Ford coming back. I mean, we heard Fred. I didn't hear it. Shout out. I saw it from Niners Nation. They posted the quote, and everything from what Fred said was D Ford is back. All right. We'll take it because 49er fans, we've operated as not thinking he would be back. So if we have a healthy D Ford, that house money all the time, house money. And just like gotta love peace, always got the haters out there doubting. And that's fine. It is what it is. I appreciate you all. American Samoa in the house. What's good, Oos? What's good, Oos? That's a long way from here. That's a long way from here. But by all counts, D Ford is coming back. I've seen D Ford in the locker room through someone else's, another player's story. He didn't do intentionally. So all the accounts of him working out in the offseason are true. I've seen that with my own eyes. And I don't know. I just think you have to think from Fred's standpoint to say he's back and he's saying something like that on the radio. Fred knows what he's saying, man. So I feel pretty confident. Like, he's a leader. He knows exactly how to handle these situations. He understands what his words will be taken and, interpreted as. So by all accounts, Fred Warner's pretty confident. So if Fred Warner's confident, then I feel confident because honestly, I'm going off the same info that you guys got. I ain't got nothing new. I haven't been seeing D. I haven't seen anything from D. So, but Fred's hyped. I'm hyped because you go back to 2019. I talk about it all the time. What D Ford did for that 2019 defense that helped us get to the Super Bowl, huge reason why we went to the Super Bowl that year. The pressure that man generated off the left side goes unnoticed, I feel like, at this point, into 2021. But the production that he helped produce by screaming off the edge, moving quarterbacks off his spot, he helped so much. That 2019 defense, in part, was hugely successful and known as being one of the top defensive line units in the league because of D Ford. So if D Ford, we get any kind of D Ford, half a D Ford, that's still house money because I think, again, like I said, at one point, I think we all thought he was retiring. So he's still on the team, and if he can contribute, let's go. If we get that speed rush from D Ford back, that's huge. That really is huge. What's up, Jay? What's up, Hurricane? Davis representing all the way out in Hawaii. Let's go. Aloha, my guy. Nick and D back. It's a wrap. Let's go. Let's go. What's my roster prediction for our wide receivers? Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. See, I need to do so that's actually a good thought process. I need to do a 53-man roster because I need to determine who or how many wide receivers are going to carry. They've carried 6 in the past. They've also carried 7. So that changes a lot. QP, my guy. QP, get my boys right. We see you, QP. We see you, bro. Always. QP out there working with Kittle. Getting Kittle right. Getting all those boys right, to be honest. Getting all those boys right out there with Jay Holt, with Josh. Gang. That's the gang right there. But roster prediction for wide receivers. I mean, off top. God, it's probably going to be 6. You got the fullbacks. We got the O-line depth. We got the running back depth. The biggest thing, are the 49ers going to keep 3 quarterbacks on their roster like they have in the years past? Or do they keep 2? I don't know. I think that changes things. So, but off the top of my head, probably Debo, Ayuk, Hurd, Richie James, Mohamed Sanu, and then that 6th spot, if it's really 6, oh my God, that's so hard because you guys know the Craycraft Hive has started. It has started. And with Jawan Jennings, from all accounts, I'm hoping he takes the next step. Jalen Hurd, hoping he takes the next step. Craycraft offers tons of special teams value, which again is what you're looking for out of that 6th spot. So that 6th spot is going to be someone who can contribute in special teams. But you also got guys who contribute on special teams like Trent Sherfield. That's what his job was in Arizona. The 49ers just grabbed Nasimba, blanking on his last name, but the returner from the Rams, which could point to wanting more special teams help or just camp bodies. But it's a deep group. So that 6th or 7th spot could turn out to be a really, really big battle. Webster, thank you, sir. Thank you. So we'll see. I need to do a full breakout, though, to really answer that question. I need to know what my other roster looks like because I need to decide if I'm carrying 7 or I'm carrying 6. Because that changes a lot. Greetings from Guadalajara. Let's go. My prediction at wide receiver 3, Matt H. says Sanu. Probably, I don't know. I kind of like Richie James for that spot. He's been around. He knows how to do it. He knows how to win from the slot. He's a prototypical slot guy. Sanu's a big slot. They play the same position. Sanu's a big slot. So I would have to get an idea that those two are going to be rotating in, and could be a Craycraft or could be another one of these guys. Greetings from Greece. Let's go. Nice to see you guys from Greece. Let's go. Young hitter. My guy. Trey QB1. River Craycraft Hive. You know the vibes. Everyone, oh, I like this question. This is a good question. Matt H says, everyone is chalking up the W week 1 versus Detroit. What challenges will they bring? Great question. Bus fanatics, we see you. We see you. So everyone's, clearly easy W, right? Detroit, easy W, no big deal. We're going to take that dub, right? Well, if you look at the roster, you look at how they're built, you look at, of course they lost Stafford, but they gained Goff, and now I understand everyone will look at that as a big step back. But what I do really like about what Detroit is doing is that they are building the offense to actually fit Jared Goff's skill set, which is a very important thing to do as a coach, as someone who wants their players to be successful. You have to put them in positions to be successful. So with Jared Goff, he came out of the Bear Raid at Cal. That's why he was the first overall pick. He didn't have to do play action. He didn't have to go under center. Everything was spread out. Everything was wide open. Easy lanes, diagnose everything. That's what he was good at. So they're doing that. They are going back to that. They're going away from your prototypical pro style offense to fit Jared Goff. I mean, you see my little Cal banner. I'm a Cal guy, so I watched every snap almost of Jared Goff throughout his career. I even supported him while he was our arch enemy, the Rams, because I had fantasy stock in him. So I actually think, and I've actually been going out and buying Goff because he's so low. You can buy him for so low right now. So I'm buying Goff. I'm buying Goff cheap because even if what he does with Detroit doesn't produce maybe W's, because again, W's are a team accolade, I feel that he will put up production. And he's going to put up numbers, and he's going to throw that thing 30 times a game, which is what he does well. Mullins Goff, absolutely not. That's the worst take I've ever seen. Don't ever say that again. So with that, you're going to get Hawkinson. Again, he's top 5 tight end. He's going to be taking the next step in his development. He's still really young. The wide receiver core, though, it's tough. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown, all right? I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he was one of the most underrated wide receivers coming out of this last draft class. He came out of USC. He's perfect for Goff. Like, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So I see that being an instant connection. Based on the situation with their other wide receivers, though, you got Perriman on the outside. I mean, God, that's tough. That's tough. But they have a good O-line. They got DeAndre Swift at running back. I don't know, man. I don't know. They have I think they are developing an offense that could put up some production. I think they could. But again, like I said, it's really hard thing to project because we don't know. It's a new place. It's a new situation. All that kind of stuff. So Hawkins, Focus knows. But that's the thing with the spread offense. Those lanes, the middle of the field, is going to be open. The guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown playing out of the slot, those guys are going to be open. So we'll see. Offense-wise, I actually think they're going to do better on offense than a lot of people think, especially from a production standpoint. Like I said, might not actually translate to wins, but I think from a production standpoint, especially fantasy production, again, you got good talent, young talent on that roster, just not a lot of talent. And then you look at across on the defense. I mean, I'm kind of just off the top of my head, like blanking on really anyone that stands out to me on defense. I would have to pull up their roster. So all that being said, it's hopefully a win. It's hopefully a win. I will say this. You guys remember how the 49ers came out, played week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals in 2020? If the 49ers come out and play like that, they're not beating anyone. So I think that's very important. Because this year, I think there has to be a different mentality. I think the mentality has to be, I froze on Instagram apparently. Oh, am I back? I don't know. But I think the mentality is, like I said, in 2020, we had the talent, we had the roster. You'd think we would have come out and beat Arizona. Again, so many different factors and variables at play. But we played like shit, for lack of a better word. I'm sorry. It's Friday. Don't mean to swear. It's a family show. Earmuffs. But we played really bad in week 1. We beat ourselves week 1. So, again, any given Sunday, the Detroit Lions are going to be motivated to play us. Jared Goff knows a thing or two about the 49ers. He knows a thing or two about our personnel. So, I don't know. I'm never going to say that anything is guaranteed because, again, it's any given Sunday. But, I mean, you would hope we'd win. You would really hope we win. But the challenges, and to go back to the question, what challenges will they bring? I think their offense will actually give us a good challenge. Again, DeAndre Swift out of the backfield in a spread, that's dangerous. Jared Goff's decent check down when he's got it. He's coming out of a spread. So, again, that would be my challenge. I think the offense will actually be a lot better than a lot of people anticipate. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. Should we be getting worried about Lance not signing yet? Absolutely not. I don't think so. And real quick before we go on, yes, the Lions lost all their weapons, but like I said, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's going to be a factor as a rookie. They got Perryman. He had a decent year last year. I forget what team he came from. He had an okay year. Again, they don't have a ton of great outside weapons, but running back, tight end, offensive line, and a quarterback running a scheme that fits him. Again, Jared Goff was a first overall pick with guys named Bryce Treggs, Trevor Davis, Chad Hansen. Do you guys know those names? Do you know those names? Do you? Do any of them pop out to you? Because that's how he was the first overall pick. Those were his weapons. He literally had no weapons, but he played so well out of the Bear Raid, which is the same scheme they are developing in Detroit. Like I said, Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than any wide receiver that Jared Goff had played with in college. So DeAndre Swift is better than any running back that man played with in college. So we'll see. And DeAndre Swift could be a wide receiver threat. Again, back to the other question. Should we be worried about Trey Lance not signing? Absolutely not. Don't even like think, should I be worried? Just don't. It's not a worry. It's not a worry at all. We've gone through this many times. There are certain representation, meaning agents or agencies, that just wait until training camp, like clockwork. Like I said, I was worried once, like 2 or 3 years ago when I was first starting to get into this, but realized quickly that's just how they operate. Standard operating procedures, wait till camp to sign. I assume he's with CAA, which was the main agency that handled the negotiations, that waited until camp in both previous years. So with Trey Lance, same thing. Par for the course. Not a worry in the world. He will get signed. He will get probably fully guaranteed money. It will be a good deal, and we're on to the next. I don't think it should be anything that we're worried about. Let's see. What about Alfredo Gutierrez? So I really have so limited information to scout him. Like I said, he's got a highlight tape from Mexico when he was playing down there, but you turn it on and you can almost like instantly throw it out the window because it looks like he's going a bit. I don't know if it's because he's 6'9" and he just makes the guys look smaller, but he looks like he's playing with a bunch of guys that are like 5'10" average height. So it's just a hard comparison from that standpoint. I haven't seen any like legitimate tape for me to really break down. I saw one pass set rep that he made against Air. But you could tell that he had traits. That's the whole what you're trying to do when you're trying to scout these guys off clips. You're trying to pull the traits. What are the traits? Does he have good feet, poor feet, quick feet, violent feet, slow feet? They have bricks for feet. You can pick things out. So looking at Alfredo, just from the one snap, he had a really nice kick step. That's half the battle. Number 2, he snapped out of his stance, exploded out, was able to gain ground, and the kick step was really nice. It altogether is really nice. You could see he is still working on how tall he is. He is trying to sink his hips as much as possible. A lot of people like to look at Mike McGlinchey. I think that was one of Mike McGlinchey's issues in pass protection last year. Is he's a tall guy, and you're at a disadvantage in pass protection when you're that tall instantly. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just instantly at a disadvantage. Football within the trenches is a game of leverage. So the fact that Alfredo's 6'9" and McGlinchey are 6'8", they're already at a disadvantage just based on height. So what those guys are trying to do is they're trying to drop their hips and sink into their stance to drop their leverage and make sure they still have power behind their hips, flat back, things like that. So with Alfredo, you could see him working on it. But like I said, you saw his feet. The feet look good for a guy that big. So I just need more. It's really hard to scout much more than that. But like I said, so far, pass set is a really hard technique. He looks good at it. That's a good starting point. Good starting point for Alfredo. I bet Alfredo doesn't get much run in 2021 at all. I imagine he'll be on the practice squad. And again, just like I've talked with Dakota Shepley and River Craycraft, they're going to develop this guy. And so there's no need to put him out there. There's no need to rush him out. Develop him. He's never played in the NFL. I don't know if he's ever played American football. So develop him. Put him on the practice squad for a year. And then next camp, we'll see what we have. That's kind of what I feel like will be the situation. How do you think we'll do at cornerback without Sherman? I think our cornerbacks are just fine, at least from like our starting quality, because you look at Verrett played at an all-pro caliber season last year. Mosley had some up and down games, but for the most part is a solid player. K'Wan Williams, we know he's one of the best slot corners in the NFL. And then you got guys coming in like Diamador Lenore, who I think is going to be the perfect replacement for K'Wan Williams, likely next year when K'Wan will probably sign somewhere else. So I'm very excited about Diamador for a lot of reasons. How he handles press, really freaking good. He's a great press corner at his size. So I love it. He's got the hands, he's got the hips, he's got the feet, he's got it all. Packaged in the small size that he is, but that's why he's perfect to play slot. So Diamador, perfectly fine. I love it. I didn't know how I'd like it at first because, like I said, I had this memory of Brandon Ayuk destroying that defensive secondary when I was scouting him. But I've went back, and Diamador got a lot better. And it wasn't just him. There was a lot of guys getting abused by Ayuk. And I think now we can look back as well and be like, oh, yeah, Ayuk was just that good at that time. I don't think we realized how good Ayuk was, but I think we just have to, like, remember that, like, oh, Ayuk was doing what he did at Oregon, against Oregon, what he's doing now in the NFL. So overall, cornerback, and of course, Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas signs today. Ambry Thomas is a traits guy. Ambry Thomas has a ton of ability. Again, we didn't see him last year. We didn't see him in 2020. He opted out of Michigan. Due to the pandemic. So he's one of those guys that fly under the radar. But you turn on the tape. He's a Jim Harbaugh guy. We know Jim Harbaugh real well, right? We know Jim Harbaugh real well. So Jim Harbaugh used him on offense a lot. Used him as a kick returner a lot. So they tried to use Ambry Thomas literally on all three phases of the game. Even in the NCAA, you don't see that very often. You don't see that very often where a guy is being used on offense, defense, and special teams in the same game. You don't see that, only from special players. Again, the last guy that comes to my mind that I think was used like that by Jim Harbaugh and Michigan was Jabril Peppers, who's a very good athlete. So, based on everything that I say, Ambry Thomas, he's a really good athlete. And looks like he could be a steal for sure. So, but just got to see. Didn't play last year. We got to see how he develops. Let's see. So overall, cornerback depth feels okay. Unproven. Okay. Matt H says unproven rookie backup cornerbacks got me worried, which is understandable. It's hard to be confident about something that you don't know anything about. So I can understand that. For sure. But for the most part, I feel pretty confident in our team's ability to assess talent. So we'll see. Hey man, I just think about when we got Javon Kinlaw and Brandon Ayuk and the feeling I had then to the feeling I have now, and it's just like we don't know. That's the thing. Don't be worried about something we have no control over. We have no control over who's going to play or do what, because we have no idea. Just we'll let it play out. But I like who we have in our starting roles, and based on the depth behind it, I'm okay with them being rookies. I'm okay with our depth pieces being rookies. Ambry Thomas looks like a better prospect than Spoon. I would say so. I don't know, actually. That's tough because Spoon coming out was a good prospect. He was a good prospect. A lot of people like Spoon coming out. He had good length, good movement ability. Spoon played well until he got injured, and it was never the same. But Spoon might kick our asses here. He might. I don't know. But then again, he's got to guard Ayuk or Debo. So maybe not. I don't know. Those guys feel unguardable at a certain point. Do you think the amount of time Jimmy plays in preseason will be a good game indicator that there's actually a quarterback competition? Yeah, I would say so. I would say everything that happens in preseason is going to be under a microscope from the quarterback position, from all of us, because we're going to be watching snap counts. Because again, if we understand how quarterbacks are used in preseason when they are the unquestioned starters, right? First game, they maybe come out for a series. That's it. Then the backup plays the next 2 quarters. Then the third string comes in, plays the rest of the game. Then the next game, the starter will play maybe 2 or 3 series, maybe 2 series max. Then the backup comes in, does his thing, same situation. Then it's the third game. Well, now it's different. Honestly, I don't know. We go from 4 preseason games to 3. So everything used to be based on which preseason game it was. Could be different. That second preseason game could be like the dress rehearsal. Could be the one where we get a real good indication of what that starting offense looks like. So, and that's the thing. When you say, do you think the amount of time Jimmy plays in preseason will be a good indicator there's actually a QB competition? The indicator is actually Trey. And the indicator is how much does Trey play with the first string? There's a big difference between playing with the second string and the first string. And so if you're seeing a split where it's 2 series Jimmy and then 2 series Trey, and then they bring in the backup, and they bring in second stringers and the backups, then I'm thinking a little differently. Or it's 2 series Jimmy with the starters, 2 series with Trey as the starters, and then they bring in all the backups but keep Trey in. Again, indicator kind of to me like they want to see Trey with the starting unit. So if Trey is being shown with the starting unit, that's when I think we all start sounding the alarms of like, all right, I think we have a competition on our hands. If it's a situation where they just keep Trey with the second string and he's not getting any first team run, it might be a different scenario. But we've seen quarterbacks in the past win games in preseason or win starting jobs in preseason that there was no anticipation that they were going to win, even up until the last preseason game. So I think everything matters in preseason this year. I'm excited for preseason. How many TDs from Jalen Hurd this season if he stays healthy? That's one of the hardest questions to ask, because I think the first question is does he make the roster? Does he make the active roster? Is he a practice squad guy? Like, do we use him? So that's the biggest thing with Jalen Hurd. I think looking ahead at TD production or receiving production or yards production is kind of putting the cart in front of the horse. We need to see him in training camp. We need to see him in preseason. That's kind of what I think we need to do before we start assigning expectation. We just need to see him. And Jalen deserves that as well. We don't need to put any pressure on him. He just needs to play and be healthy and be available. So I'm really not going to project what TDs he has. He hasn't played in 2 years. His entire career he hasn't played. So I can't project how many touchdowns he's going to have. But I understand the question. It's not a bad question. I understand the question. That's just my rationale behind it. What are my thoughts on Hufanga? I scouted Hufanga. Again, one of the first things, I forget who it was. One of the Niner pages asked me to look into him. I was like, all right, I'll look into him. And no cap, first thing I said, I was like, I don't know if he has the athleticism to be at least a cover safety in the NFL. So really quickly in the process, I kind of scratched him out from that immediately. Like, he's not a cover safety. He's not. I don't know if I want Hufanga playing the deep half, deep third, whatever. Just because some of the athleticism is a little, at least from what I saw at USC. But what I did see was, again, a football player. And it's funny that Kyle, it was either Kyle or John, they basically said that. They're like, we love him because he's a football player. And I was like, that's hilarious because that's what he looks like. I was like, I don't know about the speed because I seen him got beat to an angle a couple times. And like I said, I don't know if I want that to be my last line of defense on the defense, but I see him as the hybrid nickel linebacker, hybrid safety in the box guy. That's how I view him. I don't view him like Jimmy Ward. He's not a Jimmy Ward guy. I'm not going to put that on him until he shows me that, because like I said, I'm only have the college tape to go off of. But right now, based on everything I've seen from him, again, it's only college tape that I have, but there's a little that more that I would like from a athletic standpoint. But again, that doesn't mean you can't play football. That just means you move them. And I'm really into these positionless guys on defense. I'm really into it. So when I see Hufanga, that's what I feel like we got. I feel like we got a positionless guy. I feel like we got a guy, if you want to bring him off the edge, he'll come off the edge. You want to put him at linebacker, which is honestly kind of how I see him. I don't know if that's what John and Kyle had in mind for him. By all accounts, he's going to play safety. He worked with Troy Polamalu and all that kind of stuff. So by all accounts, he's going to play safety. He's got a safety number. He's wearing 29. So that being said, it's just like I kind of see him being a piece. I don't see him like, oh, he's a safety. I see him being used all over that defense. At least that's how I would use him. But again, ain't my scheme, boy. Ain't my scheme. That's DeMeco Ryans' scheme now. So we'll see. Keith, always coming. Sourdough Brad with 11 TDs this year. Let's go. Put me in, coach. Matt H., I like your questions, man, or comments or whatever. Excited for Sermon and Mostert, Thunder and Lightning. Reggie Bush and Lendell White vibes. Oh, we're going back to USC days. Dang. Okay. I could see it. But I'm excited. Like I said, I've been saying it since the beginning. If you're in fantasy, you like fantasy, and you want a piece of this running back room, you're going to have to take both Sermon and Mostert. Luckily, their ADP is not terrible for either one. If you want to target them, you'll be able to get both. So that's the thing with Sermon and Mostert. I've said it before. I think one of the hardest things to scout in Kyle is his running back usage. Who's going to get carries at what time and when and who and what's the rotation looking like? Because I think a perfect example, Kyle talked about it in his podcast. And I think a perfect example is like a perfect example of Kyle and his running back rotation, I think is he said it perfectly on the podcast. If you guys remember that 2019 game against Arizona where Jeff Wilson ran a choice route, the little angle choice route, and Jimmy hit him over the middle, Jeff Wilson runs in, scores a touchdown, wins the game, right? You guys remember that? I would assume you guys remember that. So when it comes to like running back usage, here's an insight into Kyle. Jeff Wilson hadn't played the last 2 quarters of that game because he was sick. Like sick. He took himself out of the game. Jeff Wilson, that game that he scored that game-winning touchdown, he took himself out of the game because he didn't feel good. He was sick. And in the game-winning moment, with Kyle wanting to go to the running back, he went to Jeff Wilson. And he said, Jeff Wilson, get in there. And he talked about it. He was like, man, I was watching Jeff Wilson doing high knees in the huddle, trying to get warm because he hadn't played in the last 2 quarters because he's been sick. And I was just like, what am I doing? This is Kyle saying that. Like, this is Kyle pulling the strings at who's being running back. And he literally, talking in hindsight, is like, what am I doing? Why am I putting Jeff Wilson in? Dude hasn't even been playing the last 2 quarters because he's sick. What am I doing? And I really think that that kind of gives a little bit of insight into Kyle and the way he trots out running backs. I don't think we know. I really think it's how he feels. I really think it's the way the wind blows. So, Sermon, Mostert, we'll see. Let's see. Have I watched Elijah Moore's college tape? Absolutely. Elijah Moore and Michael Carter for the New York Jets buy in fantasy as well. I think Michael Carter might be one of the best fantasy running backs in football this year. I got to watch Michael Carter at the Senior Bowl. That dude's like, the size is like a real concern. Like, you're like, oh, he's small, but he does not play small at all. So yeah, I like Elijah Moore a lot. My guy Jordan was on Elijah Moore super early. Ooh, this is a fun hypothetical. Serious question. What will be the first Trey Lance? Oh, no. Oh, I get it. Sorry. So his question is, what will come first? Trey Lance throwing a touchdown or Kinlaw getting a sack this season? I like that one. Yeah, you guys know me. I've been saying Trey Lance really could start week 1. I see a range, multiple ranges of outcomes where Trey Lance starts week 1. But there are also a range of outcomes that he doesn't. So based on that situation, combined with knowing Javon Kinlaw will be a starter, will be out there week 1, will be out there for the first snap, I have to go Javon. If I knew Trey Lance was starting, though, if I knew he was starting, I would say Trey. But I don't know that. So based on the information I do know, Kinlaw. I think it's easier to throw a touch. I want to be careful with how I say that because neither are easy. But to get a sack, I mean, it's sometimes everything's working against you to get a sack, and sometimes a sack falls in your lap. So it's a hard thing to project sometimes. But keep in mind, you get Bosa back, D Ford, Samson Ebukam, Eric Armstead, DJ Moore, or DJ Jones, Zach Kerr, Barnett. We got some guys, man. So, but I'll lean Kinlaw for sure. I'll lean Kinlaw. I just talked about Alfredo. But to really quick, I think Alfredo will be a practice squad guy this year. I think he's a developmental guy. I don't think he counts against the roster. So another reason why, just to keep him where he is. And yeah, I think that's where he is. Flammer says, I'm Team Trey, but wouldn't be mad with Jimmy. I don't know if, well, I guess there are people that would be mad. I'm not one of them, even though people make me out to be that. If Jimmy starts week 1, that means Jimmy's playing well. Because, like I said, I don't think Jimmy is giving handed this job. I don't think Jimmy's giving handed this job at all. I think it's the opposite. I think Jimmy has to win this job, to be perfectly honest with you. I know the perception around this fan base is completely flipped of that. They think it's Jimmy's job and Trey's got to win it. I really kind of feel like that it is a lot more even than a lot of people think, and actually got to, I don't know. We'll see. Any idea on how close we are to that 85% vaccinated rate? Any big names not vaccinated that we know? No. The team has kept this very close to the vest. And, you know, based on the climate, that's probably a good thing for the team's health. I think they know kind of the climate of it, and so they're keeping it in-house. Obviously, Fred Warner came out today, said he was vaccinated, offered up any type of support. You have questions, whatever. You, leader of our team, Captain Fred Warner, go talk to him. And I think that's how it's going to be handled. Last we heard, I think Mayoko reported in OTAs we were at like 60%. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think Mayoko even tweeted about it today. He said he said that we're 100%. We're 100%. We're 100% on staff. So coaching staff, employees of the team, 100% across the board. But then he went on to say, last he heard was 60%. But like I said, I think they're keeping it in-house, especially based on the pressure publicly, because I would have to assume there are some key guys in this locker room who aren't. And so I think this team is doing the right thing by keeping those conversations in-house. I I understand there's multiple thought processes, multiple everything about this topic. But for the 49ers and their sake, just keep it in-house. Handle it in-house. These guys are mature enough. They're real enough. They can figure it out in-house. We don't need to be on Twitter. We don't need to be doing our best Cole Beasley impression. We just don't need to do that. Like, whether you agree or disagree, like I said, it doesn't matter, because you put it out there. It is what it is. So, like I said, the team's handling it in-house. Again, I'm pretty confident that there's some high-ranking players on our team who aren't about it. But like I said, they are smart enough. They have the wherewithal to keep it in-house. So shout out to 49ers, keeping it in-house. And I love what Fred said today. I really do. Fred said, I'm vaccinated. We're having a ton of dialogue. We're having a ton of he said the 49ers are doing a great job of informing people. So, okay, great. And I think that's honestly, that's where I leave it. Did you just call me a chump for answering your question? Oh my gosh. That can't be right. There's no way Kyler Murray said that. There's no way he said that. No way he said that. I saw someone ask something. Do you think Banks is going to be left guard 1 automatically? Oh, left guard 1 would mean that he beats out. That means he would beat out Lakin. I don't assume. Again, everything from my understanding. Again, I just talked to 2 players back to back. Both of those guys are fighting for roster spots. They're not guaranteed. They're not high draft picks. These guys have been around. They've had to fight and scrap and claw their ways onto rosters. And based on their perception of how this team is managed, when they say it's a competition, it's a real competition. They're saying, like, you have River Craycraft, again, by some, could be a dark horse wide receiver 3, or by others isn't even going to make the roster. But by his account and his understanding of Coach Shanahan and Wes Welker and all these guys, is that they're going to give everyone a real, legitimate opportunity. So just with the guard position, Laken Tomlinson's going to have every opportunity to keep the job, just like Daniel Brunskill is going to have every opportunity to keep the job. But that's why you compete. That's why you play football. You got to win the job. You shouldn't be given jobs in football. I am a firm believer of that, especially in the NFL. Just because XYZ, I mean, I get it. You pay a guy a certain amount of money, you're going to want him to play and kind of fit into that role immediately. But with guys like rookies and things like that, compete. So Banks is great. I think Banks has the potential to be an all-pro guard. I really do. I really think Banks has that type of ceiling. I look at Elijah Vera Tucker. He went in the first round, guard out of USC. I looked at him. I watched his tape, and he was good. Again, a big guy who could move well. That's what Elijah Vera Tucker was, a big guy that can move well. Well, guess what? Aaron Banks is that same type of guy, a big guy that can move well. So I honestly don't know why they were drafted so far apart. I don't know why they're drafted so far apart, because you look at the 2 guards they're pretty similar in skill set, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see. Let's see. That's probably good for today. That was some good questions. We'll end it there. We're about an hour in. So just wanted to hop on, answer some questions, talk some whatever you guys wanted to talk about. I had no plans for today. But as always, thank you guys for watching, asking questions, interacting. It's always a good time. I know there's other things going on in the world that we're all talking about and looking at. So I'm excited, though. Do you know why? My guy, the real AD, just said it. He just said it. He said, excited for training camp next week. That's it. We are back on Wednesday. Training camp. We have real football. We have real football on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I will be able to come on here and talk football about the 49ers, about something we've seen. We'll be able to talk about that on Wednesday. We'll be able to talk about the 49ers' first training camp practice. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to talk about football. I'm tired of talking about QB1, tired of talking about wide receiver 3, tired of talking about vaccinations. I'm tired of talking about it all. I want to play football. So that's where we're headed, and that's what we're going to do. So next week, we're in full football mode, and our season officially starts next week. When I say our season, my season. So my content is going to be full bore, and it's just going to be a ramp up until we get to the season. So I'm excited. If you guys want to come back, you're more than welcome. If not, no hard feelings. I hope all of you guys have a great rest of your Friday night. Go Niners. And again, we got football next week. Let's freaking go.